This is Steve Ridgel, and a couple of things have happened lately that have made me think a lot about how God puts people in lives to move them toward Him. The two things that have happened, one is in our Jesus Journey group, we have a lot of people that come in and they don't stay. They come for a while, they're interested, they get invited, they talk a little, and then they drift back to their old life, or they move off, or they go somewhere else, go back in the prison system sometimes, and we don't keep up with them. We kind of lose track of them, and we wonder about what happens to them. And then last night in our Jesus journey, or well, you're seeing this a couple of weeks later, but in our Jesus journey a couple of weeks ago in our class, A.J. Bennett, great guy, he came in and gave his testimony, talked about the people in his life when he wasn't a believer that helped move him toward Jesus, all the way to where he ended up with his wife Susan in full-time ministry, did great ministry, really does a lot of good stuff for us at Hillcrest. And AJ was telling about just how God put people in his life, even when he didn't realize it, didn't really think about Jesus. It wasn't until later when he looked back and saw how they all influenced it. So it led me to think about three things, and I just want to share those with you. One is I don't always know where we are on the journey for somebody. We may be the one that just invites them to church, and years later they say, there was a guy one time who was nice to me and asked me to church, and I didn't go, but I remember that. Okay, maybe that helped get his heart ready for somebody else. Maybe you served somebody and did it in the name of Jesus. Maybe just at work when you didn't participate in what everybody else was doing. I don't know how it all works, but at different times in different ways, sometimes God may be using you. So I want you to pray today that God will put someone in your life you can move toward Jesus. Sometimes it's dramatic. Sometimes people have been working in someone's life for years, and we're the ones that come in and all of a sudden they're ready and they say, yes, tell me about Jesus. You never know. And so I think sometimes that one of our jobs is to be an ambassador, to use the 2 Corinthians 5 phrase, to be an ambassador for Jesus. Just do good, speak good, live good for Jesus. And that sometimes will impact people and help them on their journey. Number two, it may be that you are in a spot where you haven't yet decided about Jesus, but you keep thinking. Now, one is if you're watching this, you've obviously got some interest. But sometimes if you look back in your life, the people in your life at different times that moved you toward Jesus did something for you that made you think about Jesus, even if it took a long time. And so you ought to be thankful for those people. Some of them you will know by name, keep in touch with, and maybe be able to say thank you. Some you don't know. And maybe in heaven you'll be able to find them and thank them and say, thank you for helping me on this journey. Third thing I want you to realize is that sometimes when we want to reach somebody desperately for Jesus, a friend, a coworker, a family member, somebody we love, and we want them to know Jesus, and we just can't get an opportunity to speak with them. They've moved on, they moved out, we're not in contact with them, or they don't want to talk to us. Pray for God to put someone else in their life. We don't have to be everything for everybody. We do have to do the task God put before us. And sometimes that'll help move somebody toward Jesus. We can pray for other people to be put in the lives of those we love to help them find Jesus. And we can be thankful for the people God put in our life that moved us toward Jesus and kept us faithful to Jesus. This is Steve Ridgel saying, do the task before you today.